Now, moving on to one of the day's other big stories, and Tesco is facing Britain's largest equal pay lawsuit, which could affect up to 200,000 mostly female shop floor workers. The women say they're paid less than men who work in the company's distribution centres, even though their work is of the same value. Lawyers estimate Tesco could be liable for up to £4 billion in back pay if it loses. Our economics editor Kamal Ahmed has more.
Tesco has joined a long list of organisations facing controversies over equal pay. Among retailers, Asda and Sainsbury's are facing similar legal battles. Birmingham City Council has already agreed to over £1 billion worth of payments for women cleaners and carers, and the BBC has been accused of not paying men and women equally. Tesco, as one of the country's largest employers, is now facing a series of test cases which could lead to the largest equal pay claim in employment history. Lawyers acting for Tesco supermarket workers said that female staff on hourly rates earn considerably less than men, even though the value of the work is comparable. Kim Element and Pam Jenkins have worked for Tesco for more than 20 years.
I think that although we think we have equal rights, there are times where there are such discrepancies that you can't explain them. And I think Tesco's are just one of many companies that really aren't addressing the fact that women seem to still be paid less.
Tesco said that all their staff could progress equally and were paid fairly, whatever their gender or background. In a statement, the supermarket said, "We are unable to comment on a claim that we have not received. Tesco has always been a place for people to get on in their career, regardless of their gender, background or education. And we work hard to make sure all our colleagues are paid fairly and equally for the jobs they do." This is the start of a long legal battle. Tesco just the latest business to be caught up in a fight over equal pay. Kamal Ahmed, BBC News.
And joining me now is employment lawyer Paula Lee from Lee Day Law, who's the firm which is representing the female Tesco workers. Paula, thank you very much for your time today.
You're very welcome.
You're not saying, are you, that the job that the shop workers do is precisely the same as the job that workers in the warehouses do?
No, absolutely not. Equal work for equal pay purposes includes three different categories. One is like work, which is what you just described. The second one is work rated as equivalent, which is what we tend to see in the public sector or the NHS. And the third category, which we're looking at in this case, is work of equal value. And that allows people, men and women, because of course equal pay does go both ways, but in this instance, this is the paradigm case of the woman comparing herself to a man. It allows a woman doing one particular job to compare that job with a man doing a similar role, which is equally, well, we look at, they're demanding, they're sort of like equally demanding. And then we break that down into the component parts of what the demands look like. And to do that, we will look at the qualifications or the working conditions, the level of responsibility, and then so the tasks get broken down. So work of equal value, the law permits you to compare your role with a completely different role, and even in a different establishment. So, as in this case, between the shop and the distribution centre.
And do you also take into consideration whether that work is of equal value in terms of outcomes for the store, in this case Tesco, or is that not relevant in this case?
Well, equal value is a mixture of objectivity and subjectivity, and so ultimately it's a matter for the tribunal to decide. And the tribunal are assisted, in most cases, by independent experts who have got a wealth of experience in assessing the value. So I would leave that to the experts to decide. What we do is we break it down in agreement with the other side. We look at the component parts, and then the experts go away, they analyse that, and they give each component part a score. Those scores then get added up. And if they're equal, or the woman is slightly higher, then she will succeed in that equal value element. But of course, it's still open to the employer to then go on to defend that if there is a defence available to them.
And are you aware of men who are working in the stores and women who are working in the warehouses, although obviously it's mainly women who work in the shops and mainly men who work in the warehouses? Are you aware if they are paid the same rates?
No, I'm not aware of that, but it's a very good point. So there'd been no reason why a man couldn't have started this claim as a shop worker, comparing himself to a female in the distribution centre. I mean, I would be really clear about that. The equal pay provisions, they apply both ways. It's not always women to men. So indeed, men can take full advantage of them too. And indeed, they do in this case. What we see in situations like this, where you're now having more and more men work in areas which have predominantly been female, they can take advantage of the success the women might get, and we call those the piggyback claims.
And just in terms of precedent, how similar is this, in your opinion, to the Birmingham City Council case? The council settled women there who were working as care workers, cleaners, said that they should be paid equally compared to men who were working in refuse collection and so on. Is this a very similar case?
Yeah, they're similar in so much as you're looking at different jobs, but in the public sector that falls under the job evaluation study that's normally done. This is very similar to the Asda case, which my firm is also running, which is another big supermarket case, and looking at the shop workers and the distribution centres. So it's very similar to that case. What makes this one different is just the scale of Tesco. As we said, it is likely to be the largest employer in the country. We think there's 250,000 employees on the shop floor. And we think that from that, 155,000 of those are women. So it's the scale of this which makes this one so different.
OK, Paula Lee from Lee Day Solicitors, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Theresa May is to meet